Let us look at Article 12, paragraph 3, which provides the definition of royalties under the India-USA Treaty. The term royalties as used in this article means. First thing I want to clarify here is that the use of the word means itself indicates that this definition is exhaustive, right? What it implies is that if something cannot be covered within the four corners of this definition as royalty, then it will not amount to royalty for the purpose of the treaty. Even if it is covered as a royalty under the Income Tax Act, that definition would have to be overridden by the definition given under the treaty, and therefore it will be not taxable, and there will be a different route which you will have to follow to analyze the taxability of such amount. Payment of any kind received as a consideration for the use or the right to use, and then a set of things follow. Let me first explain the meaning of these 3 points to you, right? And then it is going to make things amply clear. So royalty definition is an exhaustive definition under the India-USA Treaty. It refers to payment of any kind. Now, does that mean that even payments which are not covered under this paragraph will be considered as royalty? So let's say if a particular payment amounts to royalty under the Income Tax Act, right, but does not so amount under the treaty, will that also be covered since the word used are payment of any kind? The answer to that is no. When we say payment of any kind, that refers to the payments which are considered as royalty under this paragraph, right? Again, the use of the word payment makes it amply clear that it's not the accrual but the payment of any kind received as a consideration for. This word, even though it is kind of does not seem to be very heavy, I would say, right? But it kind of just communicates very clearly that what the payment is being made, the principal reason for that payment should be the subject matter of this paragraph. It should be a consideration for any of the rights which we are discussing in this paragraph. So let's say, for example, if I am having a car, right? There's a technology which is working in the car, but when I'm making a payment to the car person, the driver, it's for the services he's rendering me, right? I'm not using the technology. The technology works inside the car by itself. So the consideration is for the services which he renders, right? So you need to find out what is the principal element for which the payment is being made. What is the consideration being given for? Use of or the right to use. Now, if you go back to the Income Tax Act, it not only covers the payment for the use or the right to use, it also covers the payment for transfer of all or any right, right? Generally, the payments for transfer of all or any right are not considered as royalty under the treaty. There could be certain exceptions in respect of one or two payments, but then unless and until this is specifically mentioned, it is only the payment which is being made for the use or the right to use any of the following which amounts to royalty. So the consideration for the use or the right to use any copyright of a literary, artistic, or scientific work. Now, for each of these elements, please note that there are hundreds of cases. Now, believe it or not, even in India, at least 20 to 30% of the total tax cases are around fee for technical services, right? So it's very difficult to kind of put all of them in a small bucket and make an explanation. Each one of these elements, you need to watch out for what are the key cases there, how they are applicable in your case, right? But let's try and understand how this applies. So any copyright of a literary, artistic, or scientific work. Now again note, the payment is for the use of a copyright, right? If you are transferring a copyright, that per se is not covered within what we have discussed until now. And the copyright could be of literary, artistic, or scientific work, including cinematographic films or work on film, tape, or other means of reproduction. So any of these work could be on tape or other means of reproduction for use in connection with radio or television broadcasting. So if there is a cinematographic film or work, right, which could be on any of these modes, which is for use in connection with the radio or television broadcasting, any patent or a trademark. Now both these patent and trademark may be registered or unregistered, that doesn't make a difference. When we talk about a patent, this has to be differentiated from a patented product, right? So if you buy a particular mobile handset, you're buying a patented product. You're not buying a patent, right? Design or model, plan, secret formula or process. Now, there has been a debate whether this word secret would be applicable only to formula or it will also apply to process. Which means, does this mean that the formula and process both have to be secret before it could be covered as royalty? Or it is only the formula, if it is secret, then it is covered? Or information concerning industrial, commercial, or scientific experience. So if I have gained some experience which is in the nature of industrial, commercial, or scientific experience and allows someone else to use that experience, and for that they make me a payment, that is going to get covered over here. Now normally your treaty definitions would end over here, right? The part which we are going to look now is normally not available in many treaties, including gains derived from the alienation of any such property or right which are contingent on the productivity, use, or disposition thereof. So if there are any gains which you derive from alienation of such right or property, whatever have been discussed above, but whenever they are contingent on the productivity, use, or disposition thereof. It's not in all cases, only when these are covered under these three would they be covered as royalty. The term royalty as used in this article means, this is, I've just copied you, okay, so that you are able to kind of understand this. Payment of any kind received as a consideration for the use or the right to use. Now up to here it is the same, I'm not explaining it again. Any industrial, commercial, or scientific equipment. Earlier the reference was industrial, commercial, or scientific experience. Now if you have a commercial, industrial, or scientific equipment, right, any payment for the use or the right to use that will also be considered as royalty. Other than payments derived by an enterprise described in paragraph 1 of Article 8 from the activities described in paragraph 2C or 3 of Article 8. That is basically applicable to shipping or transport enterprises. That is excluded. But otherwise, payment for the use of any industrial, commercial, or scientific equipment are to be considered as royalty.